24 minutes after the hour, 12 o'clock, you are tuned into Hope Alive radio station on a Tuesday. And of course, every Tuesday we get to hang out with one of the super amazing conversationalists I've ever met in my life. Shemaine joins us in the studio, and she's always looking great and bright, ready to equip us with conversations that will unlock our minds to become better versions, right?
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday.
Are you happy?
You know, I'm alive and the sun is bright, so why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Even if things are not great, we're alive. It's another day to do something new and another day to start again. So we move.
We move, we live and have our being. Through Christ, everything works out.
Amen.
Everything will be good through Christ, and we keep on going no matter what. We played you a song entitled I'll Find You, and that is Lecrae giving us that one. It's the 19th of March, 2024 is the year. The weather is sitting at 25 degrees if you're in the Kempton Park area, 23 degrees if you're in Johannesburg, and Pretoria sitting at 27 degrees. So I don't know whether we're supposed to, what are we supposed to do when it's hot? I need to
sit on a beach somewhere and some cocktails as God intended.
Where are we today?
Today we're talking Utopia.
Yeah.
So remember last week we spoke about tourism and gentrification.
Yeah, gentrification.
And you know me, we always gotta flip it.
Yeah.
So we spoke about people coming into the country. Today we are speaking about people going outside of the country. Whew. Utopia doesn't exist. The truth of immigration. Now, what is utopia?
Yeah.
When I say utopia to you, what comes to mind?
I have no idea. This is one word, I'm very honest with you. This is one word I've heard being spoken a lot. I assume that utopia was a representation of a place where people have started their own country, sort of.
Okay,
where you have to, in order for you to get in, you must pay, or you must get your passport stamp to get in.
Yeah, I think
There's
that's
a whole
how
process,
the movies have represented it.
Yes, that's how it's been represented in the movies and in conversations.
Yes, so, and that's in the gist of it, sort of what it is. Utopia is a place or a society that is inherently or ideally perfect, free from war, free from conflict, free from political
control,
jumbo-jambo.
Yeah.
It's just this utopia. Even the word utopia, it's giving island with no drama, right?
Ooh,
So
I love it. Island with no drama. Ooh, I love it.
So the dictionary definition is a place, a state, or a condition that is ideally perfect in respect to laws, politics, customs, and conditions. A seemingly perfect society where people are content and conflict is unknown. It kind of sounds like a myth.
It sounds like one of those places where you run into a unicorn.
Exactly. And on the opposite end, we have dystopia. So if utopia is this beautiful place and dystopia is...
Are we not already living in dystopia?
Exactly. Dystopia is the opposite of that, right?
Yeah.
A society that is extremely chaotic, extremely authoritative, and where most people suffer. So we can kind of say that utopia doesn't exist, but dystopia does exist because we feel like we're living in it every day.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what it's always been for me is, you know, this utopia, we live in this da-da-da-da-da-da. And in context of today's conversation is, you know, a few weeks ago, I saw on my TikTok video, on my TikTok app rather, where a South African had immigrated to the UK. And he made a video about complaining about the treatment that he's receiving in the UK. This is now important to note, a white South African. And that the treatment he was receiving in the UK was much worse. The reality was harsh. The living conditions were not the same, you know, due to financial response. He listed a couple things.
Yeah.
And in another video, you know, around the same time, I guess, you know, the algorithms. And around the same time, I saw a video of a couple, either in the US or Canada, somewhere in the Americas.
Yeah.
And they made a video about how tough life was overseas in comparison to South Africa. Why? Well, one of the common reasons, and one of the reasons I actually found funny that stuck out for me, they said that, you know, it's super hard for them because they have to clean up after themselves. And I was just like,
we've been doing that since we're born.
Are you serious? And people forget that the laws in other countries, right? Because in South Africa you can get away with hiring Utembi and paying her 2,000 rand a month or 1,000, whatever people are paying or auntie these days, and or auntie are not regulated. You get to America and the Canadas,
it's regulated.
That's employment. That's someone's job,
Yeah.
which means they have to be paid minimum wage or whatever the benchmark salary is.
Yeah.
They have to have benefits. They have to have medical. All of a sudden now you can't afford Utembi Wase Ameliga.
We'll be right back to chat more about the Timbers in Melika. Dystopia and Utopia. That's where we're at. Let's pay a quick bill and we'll be right back.
It's that time of the year again. The Whole Woman Wellness Brunch is upon us. 2024 is the year to celebrate our faith, finance, family, friendship, and fitness. With a holistic and yummy lineup hosted by yours truly, Miss Aya Hlubi, with Sophie Ndaba, Tshepo Mohlala, Lebu Mehlomakulu, Linda Yende, and Kanye Sibego. Join us in Brakpan on the 23rd of March at 10 a.m. in your bright colored clothing. 950 Rand gets you in. To purchase your tickets, please visit www.thewholewomansa.online or WhatsApp 068 117 6979.
Asambe. All right, it's 30 minutes after the hour, 12 o'clock. You're right here on the Midday Hangout. It's Conversation with Chaz this afternoon on a Tuesday. Dystopia, Utopia. I just get that word wrong. Utopia.
You. Utopia.
So you were just talking about the couple that then is now sweating, struggling with
now
this.
they're sweating Pesheya and Ziaba Khalil, long story short.
Yeah.
Because you need to register anyone who works for you, whether it's a nanny, whether it's a helper, and you now can't afford it, right? These people need benefits and salaries and things like that.
Unlike here, where people get it under the carpet.
And then they realize cost of food, not great. Quality of food is not great. And in America, they have this thing of like paying for heat and gas.
Yeah, gas. Yeah.
And which we don't have here. It's like, if you're cold, only heater, my dear. No, they have like central systems where they charge you for gas. And those are things that they don't take into consideration.
Sure, yeah. You don't walk out in America with a glass bottle to go and refill it at the garage.
Exactly. So things they took for granted back home. And basically that's what the video about. I wanted to play the initial video because I responded to that video, but it blew up on TikTok, and the guy who made the video took his video down because I stitched his. And I think it got so much heat that he ended up taking it down because my response was quite controversial.
As usual.
So I made a response video. And I was like, what's crazy? All these people, and because I had been seeing it in my algorithm now, all these people, these videos of white South Africans who most likely used to slander South Africa. I'm moving. South Africa's gone to the dogs.
Yeah.
Load shedding. The government is corrupt. The slander.
Yeah.
I'm leaving this country for a better place. They are looking
greener
for
pastures, huh? I'm moving on to greener pastures.
because they're looking for their utopia. They think they are looking for their utopia, and the country's gone to the dogs. We don't have service delivery. I'm moving. Bloody ANC. It's better overseas. First wrong statement. You should catch yourself. It's better on the other side. Okay. And these people have then opted to immigrate. So my video was basically saying you've opted now to immigrate to this place. Which is fine. I'm pro-choice in everything.
Yeah.
Your choice. You're entitled to go where you want to go. But then when you make videos like that, where you've kind of expected when I leave here, I get an automatic pass to acceptance.
I love that. Automatic pass to acceptance and to greener pastures.
Yes, because they assume I'm going to move overseas. I'm going to make money in dollars. And because I'm what? the white people are going to accept me there, which is not always the case, right? They go there with the expectation that they'll be accepted into a different society because, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And we're all kinfolk. And that's one of their misconceptions. They go there with the expectation that they'll be well treated.
True.
Which the guy has proven that that's not the case, that they'll be treated better than they are here in South Africa, or even welcomed openly by local residents.
Kanti usuke la unebaleli right wafika lo Africa.
Yes, and then they come crying to social media
Yeah.
and telling other South Africans not to make the same mistake.
Oh,
And that's what my response was about, and the comments went crazy as usual. And I think that prompted, because he responded to me, he's like, I don't know what you're trying to imply. And I'm like, why are you offended? Because I'm just making a general video based on your experience. Uguti, you are making this video because you've realized, Uguti, the people here actually aren't so nice. The people here actually aren't so accepting.
True.
Of me, right? And the problem is, once you're in a new country, those rose-colored glasses that you had when you left South Africa, they come off, and reality sets in, and you realize that there'll be many other things you actually don't like about the country you're going to.
Yeah.
They are actually sometimes even worse, right?
Than what you're experiencing in your country.
Exactly. And a friend of mine who is in Australia, her company is on Australia, so she's back and forth between South Africa and Australia. And she says that her colleagues in Australia are actually tired of white South Africans. South Africans move to New Zealand mostly and to Australia, that side of the world, because they say it's like South Africa 2.0.
Yeah.
The people there are tired of South Africans. Please ask me why. Because apparently they get there and they feel entitled, right? They go with that same mentality, yoguti, I can be accepted here. They go there and they're entitled, and apparently they complain about black South Africans. So even when you've left our country, you're still on our necks in another country, and other countries are just like, yay, we don't care.
This is not your...
We don't care. You're not here to complain. So basically they're saying they're tired of South Africans there, and they've had enough, and sort of the cycle of mistreatment begins. But I want to put a pin in that. Hold. Okay, I'll let you say what you want to say.
No, it's fine.
I'll let you say I don't want you to lose it, so say it. I don't want you to lose it.
My thought is, okay, you leaving the country complaining, and then we get to where you're going now, they're complaining about you. So
Exactly. And
about your complaining.
And if I don't know if you remember a few years ago, that video of Adam Castavestos.
Yeah.
You're in Europe. You're still making complaints about black people. The one who made the kafir comment.
Oh.
Was he not a kafir? You are still worried about us even when you've left us. What is that mentality? But let's put a pin in that. Let's look at some facts and some stats, okay? I forgot my other phone. I had taken screenshots, but you know what? It's in my head. So I wanted to read snippets of the article.
Yeah.
In December of 2023, Business Tech came out with an article called Reverse Immigration, the Trend is Boosting South African Major Cities. And basically, you're going to pull it up for me?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, you're a star. Not this one, it's a December 2023 one. No, that's the second one I'll refer to just now. This one. Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
Yeah.
And basically, if you just scroll down, I'm going to read just a small little bit of this. And yeah, you can leave it right there. The group executive from Chas Everett basically says, we receive inquiries daily from South Africans of all ages who have been living and working abroad, sometimes for years, but are now returning to Johannesburg to take up new corporate jobs or establish new businesses. Most are highly skilled individuals with years of experience, which is a benefit to SA. For coming back, and the reasons for coming back now. These are now people who've left and are now inquiring about coming back. I want to come back to South Africa. The reasons for coming back range from being tired of unpleasant weather. When you look at the privilege of these reasons, being tired of unpleasant weather and worried about natural disasters, missing family and friends, to...
I've been guilty of blaming some people for for coming back. As we are talking, I'm remembering.
What did you say?
No, I said, I don't get it. I just told her straight. I don't get it.
Don't get coming back or don't get leaving?
No. She went overseas
Yeah.
and came back. So when she came back, she did say, I miss family too much and I felt overworked. I was like, I don't get it.
It's not as easy and country as it seems.
Now
we'll get into it,
too.
right? Missing family and friends, the fears about the fallout from Ukraine and Middle East conflict. So we know right now the world is on the verge of World War III between Ukraine and Russia and Israel and Gaza.
West now coming into the picture.
Everybody's putting their fingers in the war and South Africa's taking people to court. The world is in a shaky place.
True.
And you really want to guard where you are when things go down. Because when they go down, there's no warning. It's bombs away, right? So we have fears of fallout from these Ukraines, and then the high and rising cost of living in Europe, UK, and the US, the realization that they can purchase better property in SA with their euro, pounds, and dollars. So that's the one article that is, proving that there's this group of people that want to come back into the country, right? And if we go back to the previous article, in January of this year, if you further up, that one, right? In January of this year, this article cites people wanting to return to their roots, for example. So here, they're basically saying that, on the back of December's article, it's now even risen even more. And there are a growing number of South Africans who once left local shores that are now contemplating returning to their roots, which is such a interesting term. And the trend is rooted in a variety of factors, including lifestyle and cost of living considerations, as well as the allure of affordable luxury in home ownership, sometimes which is nearly impossible in other markets and immigrant destinations. So if you look at the housing market in these Western countries, the bang for your buck that you're hoping to get, this thing kicked me out. The bang for your buck that you're willing to get is not the same that you would get in your home country. So again, and I want to touch on what you said to your friend, go to she dollar. And that's the number one misconception, is that you are relating the dollar to living in South Africa. If your friend was making the dollar and still living in South Africa, she'd be rich. But she's making the dollar in a dollar country.
Okay.
So
in the dollar economy.
Exactly. So the way that she lives is going to be very different. It's going to be very different. The cost of living is going to be different. The value of money is going to be different. It's dollar to dollar. And here you're rand to rand. If she was living here, it would be a different. So that's the misconception that South Africans leave here with. I'm going to go make dollars here, but you're going to be spending dollars. You're not going to go make dollars and spending rands. That's what you're not getting. And that's why we have this influx, along with these reasons that they've listed in these trend reports and studies, is that's the reality of living in the dollar or living in the pound or living in the euro. Yeah. Right? And I wanted to play a clip for you that I found very interesting as well. It's really about what we're talking about now in reverse immigration. And if you can just play that clip for me.
Aside or access to more dollars, expatriates are returning home in droves. And this is according to property group Chas Everett. They are not settling in Cape Town, but rather a large percentage is rather moving to Gauteng. And for more on this, we're joined by the principal of Chas Everett Hyde Park and Sandton office, Rory O'Hagan, who is out in Phuket in Thailand. Good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us. Your time, of course, it's night time there, but thanks for joining us. Just taking a look at the main reasons why expatriates are returning home.
So one of the main reasons that we're finding that they're returning home is they left South Africa for various reasons in the last couple of years, and certainly as a result of COVID. What we find is that obviously it's socioeconomic factors that are leading to them wanting to come back and live in South Africa. And when we look, it's a lifestyle-driven decision as well. You know, friends and family are not the same when you're in a foreign country. You haven't got the infrastructure around you that is supportive in that respect. We're also finding that the euphoria of people having left South Africa has worn off. So in other words, that sort of idea of, I'm going to go and live somewhere else, I'm going to live this amazing life, I'm going to escape load shedding, I'm going to escape crime, or for whatever the factor might be, or it might just simply be to get a job elsewhere. And then they find, because of the wars, obviously, if you think of the Ukrainian-Russian war, throughout the world, the Russian-Ukrainian war, the Israeli-Palestinian war, people are kind of going, you know what, I'd rather have to manage with the potholes and load shedding. It's not such an issue after all. And a lot of the issues in South Africa are fixable.
Hello, entire African energy.
Interesting.
Boom.
Interesting.
Did you hear that last line? A lot of the issues in South Africa are fixable. They are now saying, you know what? The euphoria ahead of leaving the country. Why do you want to join my life? The euphoria ahead of leaving the country, gone. Because I've realized that I can deal with the pothole. I can deal with load shedding.
I get you. All right.
I'd rather stick to the devil that I know. It's too shaky here.
And that applies now, as we're having conversation, that applies more to a lot of other elements of life as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So essentially we have these two groups, right? We touched on the group that left here as expats to have jobs there and earn in dollars. Then we have a very delulu group who left here with, I'm going to start afresh. I sold my house, I sold my car, sold everything. I'll find a job there. They get there, they become dishwashers, they become waiters, and life is tough. Life is not what you do. If people in America and whatever are holding 2-3 jobs to try and hold themselves down, when as an immigrant, what do you think is going to happen to you?
You're going to have to do 5.
In a foreign place where you have foreign policies. So, you have all these people wanting to come back because the grass isn't so green. And as the guy said on the clip, they realize South Africa's problems are fixable.
Yeah.
The threat of war we discussed, the lack of family and friend support, cost of living expenses. And they realize that their money goes a long way here than it does there. You realize that the Mercedes you were driving in South Africa, I actually can't afford the same Mercedes in America.
True, yeah.
And so you're expecting to do this like for like switch, and it's not. You're expecting you're still going to live in Denver, and you get there and you live in Soweto of US, right? But also in countries... Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
But also in countries like the US, and I'll use the US as an example because they're on the news lately because they're changing all these laws. And now you realize Mtetho is not make sure. 2 years ago, we saw the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which is the abortion bill.
True, yeah.
And so now you're there as a South African where you have a nice democracy that allows you to do whatever you want, even slander the president. You're now in a country that's telling you you can't go seek medical help for your kid or your abortion or whatever. And they came up with a new one about IVF. So IVF has also stopped. Now you're being sort of dictated to.
Yeah.
People are being stripped of their rights. We saw last week that the US voted to pass the TikTok ban if they don't sell it. If they don't sell it, it's being banned in the US, which is huge. Because now you're trying to dictate. When I was going over the notes for this topic, one of the family's videos that I watched, one of the reasons they left the UK is because it was during COVID. Is because the UK was forcing vaccine thingies. I'm like, yeah, when you're in another country, South Africa was like, you don't have to do it. It's of your own accord. But other countries, they can, hit the banner on the head and say, hey, you want to stay in this country? You do what I tell you to do. So now they're faced with these issues. Actually, I thought I was leaving for a better life. South Africa is actually much better. The laws, they allow me to do what I want to do. And last but not least, you're forever an outsider. And they realize being white doesn't make you better, unfortunately. Right? And foreigners actually hate other foreigners irrespective of race. They still see you as a foreigner. So just because you're white coming from South Africa, it doesn't mean automatic acceptance. You're still
a foreigner.
Back it up. And that's why we get those videos. You know, so we've got those two groups. You've got the expat group, and you've got the I went to go and hustle group that left everything in hopes to come back, and now they're back on social media crying, right? And there's actually a Facebook group. I wanted to see if I could join, but I don't know if I'm the right demographic. There's a Facebook group called Return to South Africa, and apparently what happens in this group is that they sort of help each other return to South Africa, because it does cost a lot of money to
just
come
like
back.
the same process that you went through to go out. You'd have to get lawyers and help you do that. Now there's a group that's helping you come back home.
Yes, because remember now, when you were leaving South Africa, it was easier to leave South Africa because this is your home ground. You know where to sell things. You know where to... Now you have to figure out, legally, how do I move back, and all of that conundrum,
Imagine
right?
if you sold your house, they were like, no, if it was worth $1 million and someone came in with an
It's
offer
worth
at
100,000 there.
That's fine.
So you don't
Give
have
me
money.
50, I'm going to make US dollars, I'm going to make pounds where I'm going.
Yeah.
And now you sold your house to next to nothing, and then you're living off that same money that you left with.
While you're looking for a job. So it's all of those factors, right?
Siyaqasha with my life. Yeah.
So my personal feelings aside, I have to look at South Africa in the bigger context, is that even though there are people wanting to come home, even though I have my own personal feelings like, yeah, you left us, why you want to come back? We still have a huge brain drain in South Africa. According to the UN, and this is as of 2022, we still have over 900,000 South Africans living abroad. These are accountants, engineers, medical professionals, so doctors, nurses, that type of thing. And already we don't have enough people to serve our countrymen. Now, you remember our mental health chat a few weeks ago, where I said there were not enough therapists to service the amount of people who were looking for therapy. So it speaks to that, is that we have this hole of expertise that we're lacking because people have left South Africa, particularly professionals have left South Africa for greener pastures and working as professionals in other countries, which has left us at a loss. There's not enough people to service our people, and so we have this brain drain. Sorry, I'm getting a brain drain. So South African government has acknowledged that we are suffering from what we call a triple challenge. Triple challenge is one, poverty. So these are the reasons why people move in the first place. Because at the end of the day, it is partially our government's responsibility to keep resources in the country, right? If you look at I don't know if you've seen what's been happening with the doctors this year. A lot of doctors haven't been placed. Remember, it's the government's responsibility before I become a doctor and serve my own practice. You have to place me so that I can do whatever, my hours or whatever. There are tons of doctors who have not been placed, and the government says, there's no money to pay them. It's ridiculous. And then you wonder why doctors are leaving South Africa. And once you've started in the South African system, you can't leave until you finish that training here. So it means that I'm stuck. If the government didn't place me this year, I have to extend it by another year. Like, it's a whole ripple effect, right? So the triple challenge: one, poverty. Two, unemployment. You've got these people who have these skills. There's no one to hire them. We have 8 million unemployed South Africans in the country. 8 million.
That's a big number.
It's huge. It's huge. And we have this small 16 million that's carrying South African taxes and carrying South Africa on their back. But anyway, so 2 is unemployment. And then 3, inequality. So we can't blame people for leaving in the same breath. That's why I said, my personal feelings aside, we can't blame people for leaving. We have this triple challenge of poverty and unemployment and inequality, because inequality says, I'm only going to hire these 5 black people or these 2 Indian people. My chances are then slimmer. We can't blame people for leaving. But then there's also this other layer of tax compliance. Did you leave South Africa to open a business? So this is one of the things that are also like preventing people from coming back. Did you leave South Africa to find a new job? And were you paying taxes? Because according to the law, for as long as you're a South African resident, even if you're working in Timbuktu,
You still have
you
to.
owe us your taxes, my dear. And because SARS, unfortunately, is not sophisticated enough to do
Follow
that
up
type
and-
of tracking,
Yeah.
they'll catch you on your way back.
Oh, yeah.
Angifuna ukubuya.
Yeah.
They'll catch you on your way back. Go to, hey, where have you been for 5 years? Oh, you've been working at Microsoft. I was guy payslip. We want to see. And you want to come back? You need tax clearances to bring your things back to this country. Da, 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 da. Right? And these are a lot of things that may stop people from returning in case they're liable for things like tax.
So someone would end up staying because now I feel liable to paying the taxes.
Exactly. And if you've been making dollars, please convert. What is the current conversion rate from dollars to rand as of today? It's like 19 rand something, almost 20 rand. So,
So
if you-
now you're back to now converting that money, and now it
if you've
feels
been
like a lot of
evading
money.
taxes for 5 years, kuningi. So already you're going to come in at a deficit. You owe SARS out the gate because you haven't been paying your taxes in South Africa. How am I going to give you clearance to come back, etc., etc.? I want to return to the pin that we pinned in. I don't know if you remember what I said, Uguti. The cycle of mistreatment then goes
Changes,
round.
yeah.
You left South Africa, begging us, da. You thought, hey, kumnandi ngapha, pate. You get there and it's actually, no. And one controversial thing that I did say in my video is that you left here with that expectation. Can I tell you something? This is how we feel in
Every
our
single
own
day.
country as black people. You worried about your white people are not accepting you there. We're not accepted in our own country.
True.
We are treated indifferently in our native country. So when you experience difficulty in a country with kinfolk, you kind of don't expect it, don't you? It's kind of like, gotcha. Because the truth is, people don't want strangers in their space. That's the truth. And we see it here in South Africa, Operation Tutula, send Ban back. I don't know if you saw that guy with the Cape referendum party. They're trying to send him back. They tell him to go split Britain and London.
Are you serious?
Yes, there's a petition going on 35. The initial was 15K signatures. It's surpassed. It's now 35,000 signatures because he's trying to
I
divide.
did see that whole.
He's trying to
and I
divide
thought
South
that it's going to
Africa.
die down, but now
No, he made a video yesterday saying that people are worried about me. I'm still here. Very arrogant. And we still, and you know, first people, they believe you and then da. And I'm just like, you come here from Britain, you think you're going to colonize South Africa and separate Cape Town?
recolonize.
Yes, Hlangela. He must not know us. He must not know us. But, I say all of that to say the grass isn't greener on the other side. And most importantly, Utopia doesn't exist. There is no perfect society. There's no such thing.
It's society that we move
For
into.
as long as
on
we
burdens,
have individualized needs, for as long as there's a society that has different wants and needs per person, there isn't a society that's going to fulfill each and everybody's need. Therefore, you will never reach perfection. Even when you think there is perfection for you, someone else, it's their hell. Right? Something will always be wrong. And, I know sometimes you like to ask me, hey, what is the solution? Hey, there's no solutions here, brother. But I can conclude, in my personal opinion, is that utopia isn't a what. It isn't a where. It isn't a place in a land far away, even though my utopia is somewhere on a beach in the islands. Utopia is a state of being. Utopia is a state of being. It's this internal happy place that we have to create for ourselves. It says that no matter what I have going on around me, corruption, irrespective of what's happening around me, I'm content. No matter what chaos is happening, I'm content because I've created my own state of happiness. That way, no matter where you move, utopia follows you.
Because
it's inside you. Right? And the perfect example for me of utopia is, I feel like Africans as a whole, particularly black Africans, because we do have white Africans, black Africans have mastered utopia. Ask me why.
Why?
Because subconsciously, and maybe even unknowingly, we live on the poorest continent on earth. Africa, the most abused, the most whatever. Devastating crime. But we are the happiest.
Wow.
How do you see that? You know those kids, you see the videos on YouTube and TikTok, and they are dancing to the latest da-da-da. But you can see shame. Some of them haven't eaten. The clothes are dirty. But they're in the middle of the street dancing to Chris Brown. No matter what chaos is happening, they haven't eaten in 3 days or whatever their situation is. They found happiness. You see it in the way black people show up on social media. But everything is made a joke. You see how black people come together when they want to make things happen. And that's how I think, utopia is a state of being.
Utopia is a state of being. That's how we close our conversation this afternoon. Super amazing conversation with the controversial, sometimes so great, but well, always we learn a lesson. For me, we can apply these conversations to everyday life. It's beyond just moving to other countries. It's also in the way we live our lives. That job hopping that you're doing, hoping to get the next big utopia.
Yeah,
in you. It's in you. Let's cross over to the latest news, pay some bills, and get the latest news with Dewi. Thank you so much. Do join us again next week right here with the conversationalist, Ushaz Bamba.